Hey there, listeners. Welcome to Road Noise Episode 2. We are without Rockin' Ronnie. This is Matt Wakeham in your ear, joined here by Don Wilmot.
Hey, everybody.
And new to the show, Ryan Cunningham, joining us from the sales floor.
Hello.
And we are without Brian Pierce, unfortunately, also unable to join us for this episode, but we got a lot of stuff to talk about here. Talking from our last episode, we had our Corvette contest where you were to take your favorite Corvette, post it, tag us, and that was going to get you entered in to win a Corvette prize pack that's coming from our parts department. And proud to let you guys know, Brian Pace posted a wonderful picture.
Way to go, Brian. Good,
Absolutely. Great
customer of ours. Yep, awesome.
He really is. He really is. Silver C7 Z51. There's a picture of him sitting next to it smiling. So congratulations, Brian. We'll be getting in touch with you to get you that prize pack. All right, and going off from the worst pothole in PG, you guys let us know that the pothole on Walls Avenue, right next to Best Buy, as well as the recycling center, that was the worst pothole in Prince George. And thank you very, very much. We selected Charlie McKinnon as our winner there.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome.
So we'll be getting in touch with him to get him the oil change and car wash that we're going to be doing through.
I would suggest that if we had ran that again, just after driving around the last couple of days, there are a few new ones that would be contenders. Absolutely. So
I think so. Yeah, there's definitely some rim rockers riding around out there. Yeah. So I mean, this episode here, understandably, we're a little bit late with all the crazy stuff that's been going on around the dealership here. Talk a little bit about the elephant in the room with COVID-19 going around.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. So I guess a couple of things since it's been a few weeks since we recorded the last episode, and then the world sort of turned on a dime, and now we find ourselves in a new reality. I'm just back from 2 weeks of self-isolation after contracting bronchitis, so I spent 2 weeks at home surfing the couch and trying to connect with the world digitally and keep in touch with everybody at the dealership. So, and I got to watch the things evolve. So here we are, new way to sell cars, Ryan, new way to interact with customers.
Yep.
We've got to change the way that we do business. So let's talk a little bit about some of the changes we made, Matt, just at the dealership. So.
Yeah, I mean, we have upped our sanitation game quite a bit.
Significantly.
Yeah, if you guys have swung by the dealership, you might see the new sneeze guards that we have installed at reception, at the insurance desk, at the cashier, as well as in our finance offices.
Yep.
So we've been putting those into place. Also, every Wednesday and Saturday nights, we are now fumigating the entire dealership.
Yep.
We posted a video up there that showed some of the precautions that we're starting to take with the anti-infectious spray. And I mean, we're wiping everything down.
Yeah, absolutely. From key handling, disinfecting vehicles as they come into our possession, and then as they exit our possession. So wipe downs with sanitized wipes. Everything from the steering wheel, any of the ports of entry or points of entry, in the vehicle. Anything that we can do to make it as clean as possible once it gets into our care and once it leaves our care. We have lots of customers making requests, if they can, keys left in the gas tank or something like that in order for pickup. Whatever we can do to accommodate customers just to kind of lower the tension level, help deal with everybody's anxiety, and it's obviously warranted in this time. It's not how we anticipated coming to work. I don't think anybody in any customer service industry forecasted that it would be like this. So no longer will you get the friendly handshake from our sales department. That's we've exited that from the routine. And even in the show, as we're recording this, I mean, we're trying to keep the 2 meter proximity rule in play. And for some people, maybe that's a good thing. Being 2 meters away from people at work isn't the worst thing in the world. So.
Yeah, and I mean, here we service the local RCMP detachment and the BC ambulance, so big shout out to our first responders. That's a big part of why we're here right now, to support those extremely essential workers in that industry. So thank you guys out there, and we're doing what we can here to make sure you guys are supported.
Yep. So Ryan, Ryan heads up the internet department. So what's one of the I guess the big shifts that you've seen in terms of the point of contact for dealers or to the dealership? Like what are you getting in terms of requests and stuff from customers?
Well, I mean, it's always been a lot more kind of fact-finding and research, but you're finding a lot more people trying to do as much as possible, and people just straight up saying in the emails, like, how much of this can I do without having to come to the dealership? And I mean, the answer's always been pretty much all of it. I mean, I've I've shown up here at a closed dealership with a folder full of paperwork for people to sign. I mean, it's 100% feasible to do all of this while, you know, keeping safe and keeping your family and friends isolated for their safety. So it can be done, when we're definitely willing to work with people to get all that stuff done in a safe and a convenient manner. So, I mean, it's opened up a lot of opportunities because we can demonstrate to people that we are capable of doing this. And these are things that we've talked about ad nauseum for years and years and years, about how we should at least open this door, and it's kind of pushing us through it.
Yeah, sort of pushed us through it. Yeah, there's always been this whole, what's the take rate going to be on people conducting business in the car in a car dealership in a digital world? And this is really, I mean, it's forced consumers and it's forced us as retailers to basically pivot our business and make sure that we can conduct it that way. I mean, there's an amplified anxiety around the transaction point, because at some point there's a human interaction that has to happen with, you know, paperwork and taking possession of the vehicle. I think one of the other things I think that we were talking about yesterday is just some of the inquiries and some of the things that we can help, you know, in terms of mitigating some of the circumstance. So some of the requests that we're getting aren't just about buying vehicles. Some of it's about service, and some of it might be about, you know, what are some options open for customers if they're worried about being, you know, laid off from work. So you want to speak to any of that?
Yeah. So, I mean, GM has a dedicated call line, and actually they suggest you email. If you're dealing with GM Financial, most of the banks have lines set up. I know I was in contact with them the other day, just asking what sort of processes. I mean, they fully anticipate that people are going to be concerned, people are going to have questions, people are going to know what options are available for them, and they are there to answer those questions and help you out where you need to. So no one needs to be stressed out or concerned about that. It's definitely not something that GM or honestly, the banks or any manufacturers really want you to be freaking out about how this is going to affect your ability to deal with your car and whatnot. So there's definitely options available. And I don't know, Matt, if you want, I can give you the links and we can put them next to the
absolutely
podcast or something after we're done.
Absolutely.
But there are avenues available for everybody.
Yeah, there are some deferred payment options from different lenders. They all have different criteria, but there is a capacity to defer some payments through GMF, which is our leasing division, and then through the other lenders that we deal with. So there's a whole host of lenders. We have contact numbers and emails, etc. And if you just have general questions or inquiries, whether it's getting an account number or you need the VIN of your vehicle, etc., any account information, I think we're all capable of handling that. Matt, one of the other things that came up from GM is a little shift in this new isolation world with OnStar. So do you want to talk about some of the things that OnStar is doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So OnStar is actually offering right now to all connected customers. This doesn't mean that you have to have an OnStar subscription. It just means at one point in time you were connected. So you're getting your monthly email updates from OnStar. And right now they are making 3 gigs of data available in your vehicle, or 3 months, whichever comes first, just to kind of put things out there and give you some more data during this time. Also making Crisis Assist available.
And what is that specifically?
So Crisis Assist is essentially just your little blue OnStar button. Anytime that you're needing help or you're needing direction, you can hit that little blue OnStar button and they will have operators coming on. They're highly, highly trained, and they will be able to help you work through high-stress situations. Okay.
Now, if you want for that enhanced package, is there anything that the customer needs to do or a GM owner needs to do with the OnStar, or is it available to them if they push the OnStar button to talk to one of the OnStar representatives?
100%. All you have to do is hit that little blue OnStar button, chat with the representative, and let them know that you'd like to activate that offer.
Okay, super cool. Okay, that is kind of our COVID reality. So we have a COVID-friendly environment, whatever that means, but we're more than capable of dealing with service appointments online, handling your vehicle and getting it back to you. If people, like Ryan had said, if you want to do the research, if you want to do research at home and you need us to bring the vehicle to you to try a test drive, we can do that as well. Bring your trade in and get it appraised here without you having to leave the comfort of your home or the security of your home. So we have lots of things that we've been able to adjust in our business that are available to people. So let's talk a little bit about some of the other impacts and some of the changes that General Motors has made just on a production level. And some of those will affect our customers moving forward, and some of them are some interesting developments in interesting times. So.
Absolutely. I mean, right now we are looking at stalled production, which is not good for anybody, but 100% understandable during these times. And GM is actually making an effort not to keep those production centers shuttered. They are actually now starting with Ventec, a ventilation company, to start making ventilators as well as now masks. So they're going to be firing up 2 facilities. They're going to have a rough production number of, I believe, about 10,000 ventilators per month.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Currently looking at what they're able to do for masks.
Okay.
But they're going to be firing up the ventilators in Indiana, I believe,
Yep.
as well as the masks are going to be made out of Michigan.
Okay, super cool. Well, that's interesting. Ryan, factory orders, some people have them. Some inventory that we've been waiting to come.
Yes.
So what's going on with GM production facilities?
So, unfortunately, this is going to impact. I mean, the question I've been getting the most is the C8. There is going to be some delay in your shiny new Corvette showing up, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But it is, like Matt said, kind of for the greater good and understandable under the circumstances. But I think the last quote I got was we are going to be looking, instead of March build dates, which obviously are quickly disappearing, we're looking at mid to late April. So it shouldn't affect things too greatly. But we're going to be waiting a couple weeks until we get those sexy new sports cars in our showroom.
Yeah, I think they pulled a little bit of production out of the calendar, just in terms of probably some layoffs and some idle time, as everybody sort of reacts to the new global reality. So a little shift in production, a little longer wait time for some folks. It'll also affect probably rail shipping as they come from the factory. We have some, but we do have, and I think that's, why don't we start talking about some of the things that are exciting as we look forward to the future. Eventually this will get behind us. And we got a lot of exciting stuff to look forward to, not just being released from our confines, but we've also got some really cool stuff coming with product that we wanted to talk about today. So let's jump into that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just in terms of segue, we're talking about vehicles that have been stalled in production, but one vehicle that was not stalled in production, and we got our first one, is the Encore GX.
Yeah, dynamite, actually. Yeah.
I actually got to take that home last night and had some first impressions with it, and it is a ton of fun to drive. I have an Equinox, a little 1.5 liter engine in there. This guy's got a 1.3.
Wow.
It's a 3-cylinder strapped up with a turbo.
Yeah.
And this guy produces 174 pound-feet of torque.
Wow.
155 horsepower out of this little frame.
And when if you go back, it's been a while since I started selling cars, but you go back, I remember selling Cutlasses, that had 150 horsepower and a V8, So, and we were excited about those cars when I first started selling cars a long time ago. So to be able to get that out of a 1.3 liter displacement, I think my Chevy, was it a Sprint that I had? I think it ran a 1.3 liter turbo at the time too, and I don't think it had that kind of displacement. I don't even know if it made 80 horsepower, to be honest, but.
Yeah. And I mean, you have a really interesting new motor in there. And the package is just gorgeous. It is the best looking Buick I've seen in a really long time.
Yeah, it is very, very nice looking. And I mean, I don't know how, if I'm allowed to go off brand and criticize Buick for their styling, but the GX is a very sexy looking vehicle. And I'm kind of excited that we're going to have a couple of those to show people.
Yeah, typically, I mean, we're a Buick dealer, and they've had some nice reskinning of a lot of their product line with the Enclave. The Envision was a new release, and those have been really nice. But the Encore had a nice freshen up, but this in the GX, when I saw it yesterday, I actually didn't recognize what it was. I had to look. I actually did a double or triple take. I was really impressed. Great curb appeal. Now that's the ST. Did I see that right? Is that the designation?
That's correct. Yeah, that's the ST. Which, if we were comparing trim level to trim level, it's the preferred.
Okay.
It's kind of your leather sunroof load.
Oh, very, very, super, super nice. So we have it here. It's available to test drive. So that's a great one. What else? What do we got coming down the pipeline, Ryan?
Well, I mean, we should probably just go straight to the Escalade. I think is probably the best bet.
100%.
I like to call it the hold my beer edition. We got roasted a little bit for lack of touchscreens in our vehicles, and GM said, well, okay, hold my beer.
Yeah.
So we've got a 38-inch OLED screen. The entire dash basically is a touchscreen, and there's all sorts of interesting tech. I know Cadillac has a bunch of tech. That'll be interesting to see how they integrate it into this. But it's kind of it's cutting edge stuff. It's pretty sexy.
Yeah, it's really, really cool looking, and I'll be having a photo of it that we'll be putting up on our socials just to show you guys. But the interior of the Escalade has been completely revamped, and it's almost unrecognizable other than the Cadillac logo that's sitting in the middle of the steering wheel.
Yeah. Some of the architecture, I mean, you still have that boxy architecture, Cadillac has really done a radical change, really aggressive front fascia all across the platforms, and the new Escalade looks dynamite. So the OLED, you'd mentioned the OLED. Tell me, what is the OLED screen for those of us that are technical idiots like myself? So
OLED, it's organic LED, and really what it is it's just a super sharp display.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, I believe that Cadillac is claiming it's about twice the resolution of a 4K TV.
Okay.
I'll see what it looks like when it comes out. We tend to have those big, bold claims, but the fact of the matter is that they're comparing it to a 4K TV. It's going to be unlike anything we've seen in a GM vehicle.
Yeah.
So they've done some. There's a couple of interesting features that they're talking about. So I think this is Cadillac's real first move towards autonomous vehicles. So we'll call this semi-autonomous. Ryan, with the Super Cruise.
Super Cruise. Yep. It'll be interesting to see. I haven't got any stats on how many highways in Canada it's going to be applicable to. I think that'll be the big stumbling block in Canada anyways. But Super Cruise has been quote unquote available for 2 or 3 years now, just in very limited makes and models, the Escalade being the most common that they're finally getting it out to. So it'll be interesting to see. Super Cruise basically lets you, it's autonomous driving with some caveats. I mean, they've got the laser system that guides on major highways, much more in depth in the US than in Canada. So I still have to do a little bit of digging to see where it's going to be applicable. The other thing I'm curious to see is whether or not they're actually going to start widely applying this night vision that they were showing off in the CT6 3 years ago that I was excited never got to see. But with that big screen again, I mean the applications for cameras, the applications for all of your connected driving, your Spotify, you can have everything open all the time. Yeah. I mean, it's just going to be a new way to interact with your vehicle.
Yeah, absolutely. I took a look at just some of a couple of the reviews, the early reviews that were done. So with the Super Cruise, there's a couple of interesting features. I think it's also it's connecting through the navigation system, but there's driver overlays in terms of the mapping. So there's an actual camera up front that's a high resolution camera. So you'll get almost like a first person perspective of the road from the camera while you're driving, displayed in front of you in one of the screens, which is pretty cool. One of the other things that I thought was really neat in the navigation system is nav rendering. So one of the things that they do through the voice control in the new Escalade, if I make a left turn signal, for instance, as I'm approaching it, when the turn is still in the distance, the sound system, which is an AKG 36 speaker sound system, which is insane. The sound will project from the front of the vehicle as I approach the turn. As I get just inside 100 meters, the sound will move, and it'll only be on the left side of the vehicle. So the indicator saying left turn will move to the left door. If I miss the turn, the sound will project from behind me. So that there's not only is there a visual reference coming from the navigation, but the actual travel of sound for the indicator only produces for me on the left side or the right side of the vehicle, wherever your signal demand is, and it'll even project behind you. So I just thought that was just absolutely fascinating what they've done with this new sound system, and even an audible mic communication system front to back, so third row passengers with that big increase in rear cargo space and rear passenger legroom. But because the cabin's bigger, now you've got a front to back and a back to front communication system that works through the microphone system. So super cool.
Yeah, it really allows you to keep your attention on the road with less kind of turning around and yelling and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
One thing that I was reading up on as well is it's using AR. So now AR technology, a lot of people out there might not 100% know what it is, but when I say Snapchat filters,
Right.
that rings true with everybody.
Yep.
So what this is able to do is you use the front camera on the vehicle, displays what you're seeing in front of you on the main screen there. But what it'll do is it'll put the turn indicators on the screen for you and show you which lanes you should be getting in.
Wow.
So not only do you have, it's kind of like what we're using with a standard navigation, where it just has a placeholder vehicle and shows you where you're going. But this one is now using live cameras.
Yeah, wow.
Complete game changer.
Complete game changer. Okay, well, so the Escalade, that's pretty new and pretty exciting. But we have a couple of other things that are coming up, Ryan. So what else do we got coming down the pipeline?
Well, I mean, sticking with the same platform, I mean, you've got the Yukon Tahoe coming, a bunch of new features coming on there. The biggest one I'm excited about, I mean, we talked about I don't know what they're calling it now, the tank turn that they've got unveiling in that. I'm not 100% sure.
Right.
Whether or not it's going to be in all trim models. You've got your air ride.
Yes, air ride's huge.
Which there's a couple still unanswered questions there. I mean, I'm assuming it uses the same technology as the C8.
Yep.
So whether or not it'll memorize those lift points or not, whether or not it'll be manually controlled, I'm not 100% sure yet.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a 2-inch lift on demand. Well, up to 4 technically.
Up to 4 technically.
Yep.
And something else that was really cool about that air ride system is once you hit highway speeds, it automatically lowers the
it.
suspension.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a pretty cool system, and obviously in something like an AT4, definitely something that's highly desired. The other big thing being the diesel.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and in particular, that was the old platform ran the 6.5 diesel for a long time.
Yep.
You got to go back a couple of generations, but that was a really popular engine. This new 3-liter diesel, which we've had a chance to sell a few of them now, and all of us have had a chance to drive. Remarkable engine in the half-ton, and just crazy good fuel economy.
Yep.
So now take a big full-size SUV, made it with something that's got lots of torque, and still, very utilitarian from a towing standpoint. But now a big people mover like that, or people that just like a bigger, more robust vehicle, and still knock it out of the park fuel economy on that platform. I'm super excited to see that. So that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that little Duramax, it's a lot of fun to drive.
Yeah, absolutely. It absolutely is. So just one of the other little things I thought I'd just touch on real quick. Now, this isn't in production, but we looked at GM Authority this week, and Mark Chester, my new car manager, he had sent me a link as a Colorado ZR2 owner and a big off-road enthusiast. So Lingenfelter Performance Tuning out of Michigan, they had a customer that decided to drop a 6.2 liter LT4 V8. So he dropped that in, and then they super tuned it with a supercharger. So I think we've got a video that we're going to link. Yeah, and if you're listening to this, you need to jump on there and listen to the sound of this thing. 720 horsepower in a Colorado ZR2. Absolutely insane. Oh, so I don't know the cost. I know it was a few pennies, but it sounds absolute. I've got serious ZR2 envy now. So.
Yeah, we got a really nice video of it up on the dyno there, so you can really hear it going through its paces.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely awesome.
Extremely impressive.
Yeah, awesome. So the only thing left for us today is probably let's talk a little bit about maybe another contest.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we did so well with the last contest. We wanted to give you guys another opportunity to win some stuff. In the current climate that we're in, with everyone staying indoors as much as possible, Prince George is known as a very outdoorsy town. I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don, you represent that extremely well.
Yeah.
So since we're limiting our time outdoors, we want to know what your guys' favorite indoor activity is.
Just give us a picture of whatever you're doing indoors. As a guy that spent the last 14 days indoors, I can tell you there's only so many Sopranos, The Wire, and movies from the 80s that I can go back and and rewatch. So at some point, you got to find some new ways to occupy your time. So just post a picture of whatever you're doing indoors while you're at home isolating and spending your time, and just put it on there. And what are we going to give away? What are we thinking?
So we have got a $100 gift card to Skip the Dishes that we're going to be giving away.
Oh, super awesome. Okay, that'd be awesome. Yeah, that's a good thing to do. Get a little bit of food brought to you. One other point of fact, our boss is one of our listeners from our first episode, and we have a quick correction that I need to put in here. Our last round of discussion, some of the skill testing questions, we had thrown up the Corvette Corvette 396 engine, and Craig wanted to make sure that everybody understood that was only available in the 1965 model. So the big man was listening, and he was 100% right. So a little fact correction. So anyway, from the studios here at Wheaton Supercentre, thanks for listening to Road Noise Episode 2. Thanks to Ryan and Matt for sitting up here and yakking. Hopefully you guys find some interesting information in this, and catch us. We'll probably record another episode in a few days and let you know what's happening and what's changing in the world of General Motors, the world of Wheaton, and Prince George at large. So keep on driving life in the north, everybody. Take care.
Absolutely. Stay safe, guys.